President Bush this past week made the startling but painfully true observation that an American soldier on duty in the Persian Gulf may have been safer there than on the streets of his hometown. The president might have added, especially if his hometown is Los Angeles. In Operation Desert Storm, fewer than 200 Americans died. In the streets of Los Angeles last year, 690 died in gang wars. There are some 100,000 gang members, homeboys they call themselves, in 850 Los Angeles gangs. And in those wars, there's no ceasefire.
Another night, another siren in south central Los Angeles.
130-90.
Another guy hit over there, too.
We know about him. He's just his leg. This guy's hit in the chest.
Two more victims of an American shooting war. The war involving thousands of youth gang members in the nation's second largest city.
Did you see what happened?
I just see the car rise by.
The war is escalating and spreading, fueled by quick money and big drugs.
We've been receiving calls from literally all over the western United States saying
Numbers may have declined in the city of Los Angeles, but there's still a lot of violence poisoning the larger county area. CNN's Greg Lamont reports.
The 20-year-old is dead. He was pronounced this morning at 4:30, and the other victim, the survivor, was shot in the head.
Just another typical day in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department gang unit. The walls are filled with photos of dead gang members, and there's room for more.
This has been going on since the turn of the century, and the only difference is that the activities have increased to such a degree that it's catastrophic in nature.
Gang-related killings in the city of Los Angeles are down from last year. That's because many of the black gangs continue to honor a truce that was forged during the riots. Such is not the case in the county. Latino and Asian gangs are on a record pace for homicides because the gang population is growing and truce is not in their vocabulary.
People just pass by and they shoot. They shoot, and I guess shooting is fun, you know, but it's not fun because, you know, my friend.
Why are you guys Bloods? Why are you in the gangs?
Why is we in the gang? I guess because the area we grew up in, man. Everybody go in that area, man. Everybody follow the same line. BGs grow up to be OGs, little niggas.
His gang name is Dusty Loke.
What's up, bro? What's up, beat that?
Short for Dusty Loco, Crazy Dusty. He is a Blood wearing the blood color, red. Dusty is a gang banger, which is what they call you when you've been allowed in as a full-time active gang member. What is that? OGs, BGs?
OGs is original gangster.
Like me.
Original gangster.
And BGs?
BGs is baby gangsters. Baby gangsters.
Baby gangsters.
Call us BG.
Now you're proud of the fact that you're in the gang.
From Lime Hood, yeah.
From Lime Hood, but you're proud of the fact that you're Blood.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm down. I'm down for it. Because I'm a true. I come from the heart.
It is a war. Cops against gangs. Gangs against cops. Gangs against gangs. As in a war, the casualties mount every week. Nearly 3,000 people killed and 15,000 wounded since 1980. Whole neighborhoods of Los Angeles live in fear of black gangs, of Mexican gangs, Salvadoran, Vietnamese, even gangs from the Pacific island of Tonga.
Tongan, Crip, Tongan all the way till I die, man.
They're tough. The language they use is tough. And you'll hear some of that in this program.
Now it's, you know, guns, knives, bombs, and whatever.
Prime gang turf.
prime. A lot of people make the mistake or say that, hey, all these kids that in gangs are poor, come from single parent families. It's not the truth. Some of them do, some of them don't.
You see any hope that's getting any better?
I keep wishing, but I really don't see it. You know, I really don't see it getting better. I talk to too many kids here, you know, and they say, hey, you're never going to get rid of it. And one of the main reasons why they say is because, you know, these old rivalries, things happened 5 years ago. And then two people see each other and then boom.
Wait a minute, hold on. Get your ass out.
What's up, nigga?
Get over there.
What's going down?
Shit.
Yo, punk ass basehead nigga.
Come here.
You a punk.
Look here. Shut up, John. Man, shut up. Come here. Come here. Look, boy. Look, God damn it, you stop that shit now. You talking now, boy. Don't tell me what to do here.
Hey, Gerald.
Man, I hate him, man.
Don't say shit to these people while I'm over there.
All right, I'm gonna lead you, Ron. Fierce.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hey, man. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, look.
He's a punk.
Look.
What's up, nigga? What's up?
John,
I will
listen,
bust your little
listen.
punk ass up, nigga.
Now,
You
look.
don't want none,
hey, I
nigga.
asked you to go stand on your yard, man.
See you running up
Shit.
on me.
Well, get up. Okay.
Why don't you take
All
him
right.
away from
John,
me?
here. Get out of here. Just go home. Go ahead. Go ahead. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Take him to jail.
I'm trying to swear this shit away and you run out there. He says it's not gang related, but
that's Watts. Father down here has got all the homeboys' nicknames in our neighborhood at the bottom.
See, so when other people drive by, they know what neighborhood they're getting into, what neighborhood they're driving by. They know they're not going to stop here. And if they do, well, you know, they're going to be fools.
You heard the story just a couple of days ago. I already lost another good friend of mine. You know, I'm not so happy right now. None of us are happy right now. Retaliate. And who's going to do it? We'll go over there. We see one of them, any of them, get in our way, we're gonna, you know, mess them up. If they kill one of us, we're gonna kill one of them. If they jump us, we'll jump them. And that's the way it is. That's the way it'll always be.
There's no way gangs are gonna get along.
Listen, we're really good. All we need is someone to hear it. If you're really good, people will hear it, you know? People will be playing it for me and stuff. And it's like, it's unfortunate because everybody's going, I want to be where you're at. Well, first of all, you don't know where the fuck I'm at. Second of all, if you knew where I was at, that's not where you want to be, because basically what people are saying, I want to be a rock star. And if you want to be a rock star, don't try to do what I did, because I did it all wrong, because I don't want to be a rock star.
People just, they don't want to deal with themselves, you know? That's the whole thing, you know, like it's the song Trip with the Brain. You know, it's like people are going, oh, how bad that is, this and that. And Trip with the Brain, it's literally going to your mind and thinking, because it's like a lost art. Nobody thinks. Everyone's like on autopilot. They're going through their life, they get up, their alarm sets them, they eat this for breakfast, they go to...
Then again, I don't work for the Chamber of Commerce, obviously.
Now, the name Suicidal Tendencies comes from a Venice Beach street gang, is that correct?
No.
Or it has... This is what I was told there's something to do with it.
I know nothing about it. It's not a gang, it's a bicycle club.
A bicycle club?
No, I don't know nothing about that.
It's not true at all? Just a bicycle club? BMX, right?
That's what a lot of us hate. We're not out to kill nobody. We don't do nothing like that. We're just out to party and have fun. We're gonna baptize.
Even their initiation ritual for new members breaks with regular gang tradition.
We don't beat up nobody. It's not beating up nobody, but it's a kind of different way. For fun like this. Yeah.
Fun, not fear, drives the ceremony.
Huh? No. Baptize! You gotta check this out. Go. They're not actually beating them up.
A good-natured jostling replaces hard fists against flesh. Afterward, a smile instead of blood marks the face of the newest huerfanito. It is a deliberate move away from the brutal beating ceremony that normally initiates a gang member.
We don't need that. We don't need no gang banging with us, because we're not gang bangers.
Up north 187! And in sharp contrast to hardcore gang members,
come on, you can do it!
Prior to Election Day, huerfanitos involved themselves in a social issue, Proposition 187.
Not cause any trouble, because, you know, then they're gonna say, oh, see, these Mexicans and these people that just here causing trouble, look what they're doing. So let's just try to have something peaceful.
A half dozen huerfanitos began this 187 protest outside Hamilton High School on the west side.
I need you to go back to the sidewalk. We will.
Arguably, the protest is orderly, but students are drawn out of class.
No, 187!
And the demonstrators, trailed by school security, grow to nearly 100.
I'm gonna stay with the group.
Then, shadowed by the police, the huerfanitos-led protesters march off. After more than an hour of walking, they arrive here at Culver City High School. And more than 24 students on the athletic field break to join the protest. Some bolt over the fence, all started by a half-dozen huerfanitos.
No 187!
As the demonstrators march on, the event seems no more threatening than a high school pep rally.
Back on sidewalk.
Until this.
Okay, we got a 415, 415.
Fists fly when an 18th Street gang member who joined the protest march earlier in another neighborhood is now caught in rival gang territory. Local Culver City gangsters involved in the fight run off. Police cuff the 18th Streeter, and then under the watchful eye of the law, huerfanitos finish up their 187 protest in relative peace.
This is our spot at where we have all of our meetings at.
Unlike gang members, huerfanitos say they don't fight over territory.
As well as that of its Hispanic population. Now, L.A. officials have launched an experiment designed to defuse gang violence by providing a different kind of outlet for gang.
I'm like, dude, shut up, show up, and let it just be in God's hands or the universe or whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
Just show up. And showing up has won a lot of battles for me, you know. And so that's to anybody who's like, you know, if that's note to self more than anything else. So we met. I came here in the weirdest way. I'm a native New Yorker, born in Brooklyn, grew up for a short time in Staten Island. My mother came from, there you go. Well, this is way before Wu-Tang.
See that bottle?
You guys are holding. This is when that was like the country. If you left Brooklyn, you went over the Verrazano Bridge and you ended up in the country. Yeah. And that's really what it was. It was formerly a dump. It was this is where they used to put the trash from Manhattan and everywhere else. So, and I say that to tell you that, you know, I'm a native New Yorker, and then my mother had a bad picker, so my father was in prison since I'm 2 months old, and then she remarried to another addict alcoholic. And so I grew up in a very hostile, unstable environment, to say the least. And I thought everybody grew up that way, you know, and I had grandparents that were a mile down the street, and they raised me early on. So I thought they were my parents because my mother worked at the Chase Manhattan Bank at nights. So it was almost like we were living, you know,
opposite lives.
Yeah, opposite lives. I thought she was some random cousin every weekend when I'd see her, just, you know. And then I came to California. We came to California when I was 6, and then she would send me back every summer to New York and New Jersey until I was about 13 or 14, right around the time I saw The Outsiders. And I'll tell you how that worked out. But
is that a movie?
So,
it's a movie. Oh, okay, yeah.
But so there was this. I grew up. Looking back, it was the greatest thing ever because, you know, I was in the import-export business even as a kid, and I didn't even know it because there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no, like, I was bringing skateboards and surf culture and vans, and those were not things you could buy in New York. If you get Skateboarder magazine, you could look in the back and see Van Doren, an ad for a shoe that you could order, but there was nowhere to buy Vans with a local, you know. So I would step out into the world in New York, and older kids are like, "You from L.A.?" I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know?" Like, I got OP shorts, and, you know, lightning bolt, and
Ocean
you know,
Pacific.
Vans, and they weren't dressing like that in New York, you know. And then I'd come back after being all summer, and I'd be in like shell toes or Pumas and BVDs and shorter, you know, what do you call it, Gant shorts, and they're like, "Yo, what the," like, they just, and even music was different. As I got a little older, you know, in L.A., Oingo Boingo and Fishbone were all the rage, you know, hip hop was just starting to, you know, so it was a cultural exchange. It was the greatest way to grow up, but I've always felt disconnected at the same time. So I was a New Yorker who didn't fit in LA 100%, and then New York was no longer my home, and so it led for a lot of, you know,
bi-coastal anxiety.
Just that's one way to say it, but more of it just, I always felt like an outsider or an outcast, you know, and I spoke different. You know, people would be like, "Say quarter," I'm like, "Quarter." They're like, "Say water," I'm like, "Water," you know. I'd say my mother's pocketbook, and they're like, "Wow." It was just different. It was completely different worlds. And then I grew up with my mother's records, which was the greatest. My mother had a really good taste in music. She used to and it's all Motown. Yes. But when I got to LA, they're calling me Disco Dan. Those are fighting words, my man. Like, you're not, when you're 10, that's not cool. And I grew up in a roller rink. So that was like an ad hoc babysitter, you know? So roller skating was and they're not listening to, you know, Black Sabbath and the roller.
And you still roller skate.
Oh yeah, I still get down.
If you don't follow him on Instagram, I'm telling you, he posts shit.
It's been a minute because
everything's been closed down or
whatever.
Yeah,
but yes, that's my whole thing. So
he still does.
What I'm getting at is that by the time I hit high school, I had no life plan. I have a learning disorder, I think. Nobody's ever diagnosed me with anything, but I know that I've always struggled with any type of thing where if I buy a product and it comes with a manual, I throw the manual out and I go, okay, now how does this work? So either one of the homies got to show me, I got to go on YouTube, or hopefully a chick I'm codependent relationship with can just make that work for me. You know what I mean? And so I get to high school right around that time. Like at the end of junior high, I go see The Outsiders, and for the first time in my life, I see a movie that kind of tells my story, with the differences. But I feel I'm watching a family that's disconnected because the mother and father died tragically, and an older brother trying to look out to hold his family together. Meanwhile, overseeing the rest of the wayward boys in the neighborhood, and I felt like one of those neighbors that was, and I thought, this really this matches how I feel, but it was in a different era. So immediately after coming out of seeing that movie, I felt like my life had changed, and for the better, because I thought if the best life ever gets is just running around with a gang of dudes with each other's best interests at heart, I can live with that. That's okay. That's kind of cool. Because I'm growing up in the 80s in Southern California in the era of just excess. It was the Reagan era. It was like everybody's getting money, but we were a single mother with 2 kids and struggling to get by. Everybody else just seemed to have it figured out and made. And so I hung with the other kids. I hung with the kids like me, latchkey kids. If you got good family structure or someone is looking out, those kids end up in sports, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the way you learn your lessons. You learn how to win. You also learn how to lose gracefully and learn lessons from it. I learned that on the completely other side of the spectrum. And that was really my appeal to hip-hop early on, besides being a native New Yorker, because I always felt like I had been ripped out of New York. I always had an affinity for everything New York, because in Southern California, I was New York. That's the only reference they had in my neighborhood was me and my small family. And so I always look back fondly on anything. And when hip-hop started to become a thing, I was like, this is for me. I love it, And so early on, I was into hip-hop. And I say that to tell you that that's what I ended up doing for a career, but it was another fluke. It wasn't really a thing. As people were starting to get 16 and 17, they were able to work. The last thing I wanted to do was work. I wanted money. I didn't want to work. I also saw Scarface around that time, and I confused that. I know now that that's just, it was a movie, but I thought it was a documentary, and I thought it was like a blueprint. And I'm not going to try to tell you wasn't moving the crowd at that level at that time, but I thought I could do that. That seems cool, And the kids I was running with, they weren't saying, no, that's not cool, that ain't good. They were like, hell yeah, we can
get on board with it, yeah.
So we got on board. And, also with hip hop, which I love about it, is you don't do hip hop alone. If you want to be like a killer guitar player, you're going to do that alone, per se. You're going to be 9 hours learning your pentatonic and your scales, in isolation. Hip-hop we do together, so it's like a crew and a posse and a gang, and so I always went towards that. Right, you're trying to make your nuclear family sucks and it's destroyed, right. So you try to make the next best thing. So that's what I did. So I don't look back with any regrets, but it was also, I made a lot of choices that would end up eventually, costing me a lot. And so while everybody else is going to high school and finishing up their courses and doing the thing, getting ready to go to college or heading off to a career, I'm, a 2-bit little drug dealer. We were doing a lot of credit card theft back then. You could reprogram cards, and I won't give you the long story, but it was very easy to get an ID made in anybody's name. I would find a friend that was semi-decent like Sean and say, Sean, you have 3 credit cards with your name on them. I'll give you $500 for them. You're like, no, dude. I'm like, trust me, you'll call them in stolen. You're off the hook at that point. Here's $500. So you'll do it. Now I got 3 cards with your name. I make an ID with your name and my face, and now I program 3 different ones. So if one goes bad on a purchase and there's red flags, I go, hold on. That's
try this one.
Try this one. And then and then they calm down. And God forbid, and it never did on the second one, but if it did, I got another. So everything looks copacetic. I got my hair parted to the side. I can clean up well back in the days. Eddie Haskell, if you will.
Could you get your hair like this?
Oh yeah,
all right.
With the gel and the whole
all
thing.
The gray in it too.
This is natural, man.
And so again, these things are all these are things you do when you're heading when the trajectory for your life is jail's institution and death, And right before all that came home to roost, there was a kid in my neighborhood, Everlast, Eric Schrody, and he had a record deal, and he had his first solo album with Ice-T, and it was a big deal. And I was probably the first fan of it because he really could spit. He really could do his thing. And I was like living in Canoga Park, and if you could count on one hand the amount of white kids that were into hip-hop, really living it, going to the spots, I mean, we were literally a handful of kids. And you had to be tough. You just couldn't, it's not like today. I see kids with faux hawks and Ramones shirts, and
you know they throw.
Yeah, I mean, you had to pay for those choices back in the days, and that was the rite of passage. If you got beat up or you had to fight your way out of something, you're like, yeah, it was a badge of honor to do that. So being a hip hop back then was different than I guess what it is today. And that album didn't do great for him, and he was having some problems trying to figure out what was next. And what I do. People think I rapped for a living. I never rapped for a living. I was a hype man, which I'm good at, but I'm really a creative director. I see a need and a void, and then I try to fill it with what I think is necessary and could do, bring something diverse to, a very linear board. And at that time, there was Third Base and the Beastie Boys, and you could throw in Marky Mark and
Up Goes the Weasel.
Yeah, you could. And shout out to Serge, man.
We
didn't get down back in the days, and now we're good friends, man.
Dude,
how that
you,
works
man,
out.
those,
and we don't. And I mean,
you listen to Third Base?
So
you know who that was?
Yeah.
Those glasses. Yeah, you could be. That's you with the glasses. You're a modern day.
There you go.
Dude, I remember the first time I heard the Sugar Hill Gang, man.
Me
back
too.
It was on.
We're talking white rappers right now.
Hold on, I know, motherfucker, but it was on NPR station at the University of Arkansas, played on Sunday morning before they did any religious things.
There you go.
And I was like, oh.
So I remember hearing it as well, and what I thought at the time, I thought, what a unique song. But you could put it next to Rock Lobster by the B-52s.
Yeah.
Because that song was just some obscure, weird song.
Yeah, it's weird shit.
Pop Music by M Logic. Everybody's talking about pop music, pop. It was just this weird. It didn't fit in the category.
No.
And then here comes Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Oh,
and the Message.
goddamn.
And I'm like, whoa. And then here's Curtis Blow and White Lines. And now I'm like, whoa, what is going on? There's this thing, and it's called hip hop. So I was early on, dude.
Well, so we're talking. Were you into like movie Wild Style?
Oh yeah, that's
Dude,
82.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's
Wild Style. Graffiti Rock was another show.
Exactly. Yes.
You got this in '82. In Arkansas, we got this in '84.
Okay,
so it took a while
perhaps,
to get there.
But I can talk to that. Well, Tulsa also got things early though because they tested MTV here first. I think.
No shit.
Somebody was from here that got a job at MTV early on, and they said this is the perfect test market. So that's a whole other story. But Tulsa's super hip, even when you look back, because they were using them as the all-American, like if it will work here, it'll definitely work anywhere. Yeah, which is crazy.
Well, actually, what I like, I mean, I know this is a cocktail show where we're going to kind of get into your show.
Those.
No,
yeah,
but what I like about it is,
how
old are you?
53.
Okay, I'm 48. So I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was the white boy that listened to the hip hop and all that.
KMEL?
KMEL,
right,
yes, absolutely. So
I've
I've been to the Summer Jam concert numerous times that KMEL had. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah,
in Cypress.
Yes. So we were obviously West Coast rap, a lot of Bay Area stuff, E40 and the Click, In Too Deep, Mac Dre, and all that. Back when they were
Too Short,
all of them. They were small. Actually, Ice Cube's getting ready to come to Tulsa.
I know.
I saw Ice Cube, Too Short, Kid Rock when he was a rapper.
Yeah.
And what was her name? Female rapper that rapped with them back then. But
Drake.
No.
Wow.
Shit. Anyways, what I'm liking is you having someone else to talk to about old ass hip hop, man.
I want you to know
can't do that with these guys.
Everlast is also from New York and a transplant, and our DJ is Latvian, via Latvia to New York, then L.A. We were considered L.A. rappers. But we went #1 at KMEL first, so they embraced it first. Then it went #1 in New York.
I think it's 106.1 KMEL, yeah.
And then it went #1 in New York, and then when both coasts, then LA is like, fine, all right, it's #1. You think you do it at home first, but it was the last place out of that thing. But yeah, so rap was a good fit for me. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Everlast, he was the engine, and I was the rest of the car, and together, it was a complete 360, and it worked. What I thought was like, look, what you do, rhyme-wise and as a writer is incredible, but it's just like it was wide open. And at the time, I was in a punk rock gang, which sounds ironic since I'm a b-boy. But in L.A. in the 80s, there was a lot of punk rock gangs. So if you know anything about suicidal tendencies, you understand.
Cypress?
No, the suicidals are suies, but
right,
there's like Venice, you know. Anytime the suicidal tendencies were played, there's 80 dudes dressed down looking at everybody out.
What was the album the Breakoff album they put, and they had the lizard on there?
It's Infectious Grooves.
That's it. That's what I listened to a lot
I can fill Shea Stadium with what you don't know about that whole.
Shit, I'm sure you get, but I love me some Infectious Grooves.
That's where they get Homeboy from. That's Robert Trujillo came out of there. That was the bass player. My buddy Adam Rev was the guitar player, and Mike was the singer. So what I'm saying is there was gangs attached to bands back then, punk bands. There was Circle One, The Family. There was FFF, Fight for Freedom. There was the LA Death Squad, Lads. And anybody in LA is listening, they're like, oh, yeah, go. And we had a club, believe it or not, a gang called Mickey Mouse Club. And there's an issue, anybody listening at home that cares anything about this, in Rolling Stone magazine. It's 1986, Boy George is on the cover, and it says Valley Suburban Gangs. And it's a whole...
Lays them out.
Yeah, and it's a thing, and it's so much a thing, and this is a deep cut. There's a movie called Lost Angels, and it was the first time okay, so that's the first time that Ad Rock got a real starring role. That movie is based on the Our Gang and FFF in the Rolling Stone article. It was basically plucked out of there and turned into a movie, which is also a whole other weird convergence of all of these 6 degrees of separations. What I'm telling you is that I was a petty criminal with no goals in mind except for to get money, and very low education, 9th grade education at best. And I started a group with Everlast, and within a year, we're overnight successes.